All right, day 3 on weeks 5 through 8, and all you need is a ball. So we're going to start with a ball wall squat. You have 25 of these. So what you're going to do here is place a ball up against the wall. You're going to place the ball in the small of your back. Walk your feet out just a little bit. And then as you go through these, you want to make sure, one, again, we're driving through our feet. We shouldn't really be having any tension in our upper body. It should be nice and relaxed. Your belly button is kind of, or your middle of your back, should be pressing back into the wall. We're going to be coming down into our squat, coming to that 90 degrees, driving through our feet, coming back up. So what we want to make sure of is that when we're coming down into the squat, the tendency for some people is to let their butt tuck under the ball, and then other people, they tuck up. You don't want either of those. You want somewhere in the middle. So think of your tailbone as an elevator. It's coming directly straight down to the floor, and it's coming directly straight up when you come back up. Okay? There should be no deviation with your tailbone. It shouldn't be tucking under. It shouldn't be tucking up. It should be staying perfectly straight. So your pelvis should be staying perfectly straight as you come down and as you come back up. It should be also making sure that it comes directly straight down and that it's not shifting to one side or to the other. So we want to make sure we have even pressure through our legs as we come down, drive through the feet to come back up. So nice and controlled. Again, we don't want to rush through because then we miss any of those slight deviations, because sometimes you might come to about here and then you have a little shift around and then you come down, and that might be a tightness, it might be a weakness, it might be you might have to work through a little tight area, or remind your body that it's okay to go through that if you've had a previous injury of some sort. So again, we come straight down, want to keep our ribs relaxed, come to 90 degrees, drive through our feet to come back up. We're doing all 25. Now you can add a dumbbell and hold a dumbbell in the goblet position or at your sides if you want to make it more challenging. But I would do at least the first day of this, I would do all 25 nice and slow and control, focusing on your form, and then on the subsequent weeks you can always add weight. So the next one that we're going to do is a ball transfer. So this one you're going to be on the ground. You're going to be transferring the ball from your feet to your hands to your feet. You can keep your head down the whole time if you want to, or you could lift it up. You can also place a pillow or something underneath your neck to give your neck a little bit more comfort and ease. If you're somebody whose chin tends to look up towards the sky like this because your neck is so tight, a pillow would be ideal just to keep your head in line. So again, you could use a rolled up mat or a towel or something like that, or you could use a pillow, whatever is most comfortable for you. So we're here, as we remember from our weeks 1 through 4, we're really focusing on the lower abs staying down and having a little bit of a brace in there. So especially when the legs and the arms go out, we really want to make sure that we're not losing that lower abdominal engagement, and that we're then trying to use our low back or our neck or whatever to help us stabilize. We want to make sure that that stabilization is coming from the lower abs mostly. So we're going to start with the ball in our feet. We are going to come up, transfer the ball to our hands, and then the arms and legs go out. They come back up. You transfer it back to your feet, and the arms and the legs go out, and then you come back up. I want you to really squeeze the ball with your feet when you bring them down, come back up and pass. So hands to feet, feet to hands, that's 1 rep, and you're doing 10 of those. So we come back, we go back with our arms and our legs, and then we come back to the center, and we bring down. Again, I don't care how high or low you go, as long as you keep the engagement. If you feel like you can't, maybe you can only go to about here, and then you're like, oh, now I feel in my back, now I feel, a strain here or there. Just don't go any further than that. Keep it there, and then bring it back up. And then go down, and bring it back. So really trying to keep the ribs and the hips connected, making sure that as you bring the arms and the legs apart, that you're ribs and hips don't also go apart. You want to keep your ribs kind of pulling down towards your hips and your hips pulling up towards your ribs the whole time. If you feel like when your legs go out, some people when they do that, they feel a click or a pop in their hips. I would encourage you to just really focus on getting that abdominal engagement, really bracing, really getting your ribs to your hips. And because a lot of times what happens is the hip flexors are trying to do the job of what the core should be doing. So you want to make sure, again, we're squeezing the ball with our feet, we're driving, using that lower abdominals, and we're keeping our ribs and hips connected, and then going from there. And if you do that, a lot of times that popping will automatically stop. So if it does continue to pop, let me know, because we'll probably just change the exercise. Because anytime you hear a popping or clicking or anything like that, even if it doesn't hurt, it shouldn't be doing that. So if you repeatedly do that, it's possible that it's something that's flipping over a attachment side or something like that, and that just wears down that tendon or ligament or whatever it is. So we want to make sure that we don't do that. So if you do have clicking, popping, and extra engagement isn't helping, please let me know. We'll switch it up. Okay, so then the next one we're going to do is the hamstring curl. You're going to place your feet on the ball. So we did the sliders last time with the hamstring curl. So this time we're going to do it with the ball. So it's kind of the same idea. We're going to do 25. And if you want, again, same thing. We have the thing underneath your head. So you could do one of two things. You can either, you're going to come up and you're going to do your hamstring curls nice and slow and controlled. Roll it out, pull back in, and you'll do all your reps from here. If that becomes easy and you can do 25, no problem, no issue, feeling good, hamstrings, no big deal, okay, then you could go to one leg, okay? So from there you would just lift one leg and you could go out and come back in, but I would maybe cut it in half, maybe do 12 per leg instead of 25, because that might be a much. But just play with the rep scheme if you do drop it to one leg. Okay, so then after you do 25 hamstring curls, we're going to do 10 ball saws. So you can do these either from your knees or from your toes. So you can modify it to your knees if you need to, or if you do, 3 or 5 from your toes and then you say, oh, it's too hard, I feel like my form's going, then go drop down to your knees. So I'll show you from your knees first, and then we'll go to your toes. So we're going to just have our forearms on the ball, just like a plank position. We're relaxing our shoulders away from our ears. We're kind of pushing through the ball to push ourselves away from the ball. And then from here, we're going to roll out. So I'm actually going to come out a little bit further because we want to be in plank position to start. So core is tight, shoulders are relaxed, driving through the ball, keeping driving through the ball, and then we're doing a saw. So we're just extending the elbows and bringing them back in. If you notice, the rest of my body is not moving, but as my arms go out, that's going to make it more challenging. My body starts to shake a little, and you come back in. So you're going to do 10 of those. If you want to see if you can do it from your toes, you can pop on up. So same idea, you're going to be in perfect plank position. Drive through your forearms through the ball, and then bring the arms out and bring them back in. Bring them out and bring them back in. Okay, so maintaining that good plank position, really focusing on driving your forearms through the ball, because that's going to help put more stability in your upper body and shoulders and take the pressure out of your neck. Okay, so we do those. We do 10 of those. Then we're going to go to ball circle lateral lunges, and we have 15 of these. And so for these, you're literally just going to be, you need a little bit of space for this, because you're going to you're doing like a side shuffle, bringing the arms over, and then coming into a lateral lunge. You're going to come up, around, side shuffle, and come over to the left. Okay, so for a forward view of what that's going to look like, you start here, go And we're gonna go a little bit faster, but just so you can see in slow motion. You're gonna step, you step to the right, the arms come up, they come all the way up overhead as the other foot comes together, and then you step out into a lateral lunge, and then you go the opposite way. So shift, up and over, and bring the ball to the outside of the hip as you go into the lateral lunge. Okay, so we have 15 to each side, so it would be a little bit faster, like this. 1, 1, 2, 2. Okay, so from the side, 3, 3, 4, 4. Okay, so it's just a circular motion with the arms, and then making sure when you finish it, you're bringing the ball. So we're shifting into that hip, and we're just bringing the ball to the outside of that hip, and so we can drive out of it and come back the other way. Okay, so we do 15 to each side of those, and then alternating sides just like we did. And then we're gonna go to a ball Romanian deadlift. So you can do this one of two ways. If you have a bigger ball, you could do where you would roll out. So if you had one that you could touch by just standing, you could do it this way, where you would come like this. You would roll it out. You would roll with your hands out as your hips push back, and then come right back up to stand. But if you have a smaller ball, like mine, you're just gonna reach it out. So we're in, feet are hip width apart. We're going to sit our butt back as we push our arms out, and then drive through our feet to come back up. So you're gonna, and I kind of like, instead of pushing your arms straight out in front, think of it more like a diagonal, like you're trying to place it down on the floor and then drive through your feet to come back up. So again, we're not focusing on our upper body, nothing really about the upper body. All of our focus is in our lower body. We want to think about our tailbone going to the wall behind us as our arms go out, and then we drive through our feet to bring ourselves back up. Our upper body is relaxed, tailbone goes to the back wall, and then drive through your feet to come back up. Making sure that when we do come back up, that we are not coming back up with our upper body first. We want to come back up with legs and then finish with the upper body. So we have 15 of those, and then we go to a ball dead bug. So I think we did dead bugs last time with just our hand pushing into the knee into the hand. Well, now we're kind of doing the same thing, but we'll have the ball in between our hand and our knee this time. We do 10 to each side. So once again, we can place our head on something, a pillow, a mat, whatever. And then we're going to take the ball and press it. We're going to come up into that dead bug position. Lower abs are driving down to the floor. Our knee is pushing into the ball. Our hand is pushing into the ball. And then opposite arm and leg are going to extend out, pause, and come back up. Focus on that lower abdominals into the floor and come back up. So we'll do all 10 reps on one side, and then we'll switch. Opposite arm, opposite knee, lower abs into the floor, and then extend out, pause, and come back to the center. Out and pause, come back to the center. Out and pause, that lower abdominals stay down into the ground as we extend out and as we come back to the center. So we do 10 of those, and then we go with a ball lunge and rotate. So for this one, we're going to do a forward. Well, let's do either one. You can decide each round. You can do something different. You can do a reverse lunge with a rotate, or you can do a forward lunge and rotate. So I'll show you both. So first, we'll do the reverse lunge. So if I step back with my right leg, I'm going to rotate to my left and then come back to the center, rotate, and come back to the center. Again, it's not about the arms or the rotation, really. We're focusing on the leg that is in the front, doing the pressing and powering through the ground. If you're doing a forward lunge, we it would be the same thing, but you're gonna step forward and rotate, drive back to the center, step forward, rotate, step back to the center. Our main goal being that front leg, doing all the work, and then our core stays nice and strong. So the big thing with this one, where people get in trouble, is they're trying to do this lunge, and then they want to power back, and they throw their upper body back to get themselves back, instead of keeping the ribs over the hips, keeping that core strong, and driving through the leg, and letting yourself come back as one unit. So when you step forward and you rotate, you come back to the center, don't let your ribs disconnect from your hips. So what I mean by that is, I'm here, I'm bracing, my ribs and my hips have this is the distance between my ribs and hips. When I come forward, they didn't change. When I drive back, they don't change. So sometimes when people come forward, they collapse that space, and then when they come back, they expand that space to try and throw themselves back, and they're powering themselves with their upper body. Don't do that. This should stay the same, and all of your focus comes from the leg. And that should all stay together and be powerful as you move as one, okay? So that's your ball, lunge, and rotate, and then finally you have a ball side plank, 45 seconds on each side. So you're gonna just place the ball between your feet, so you're just sandwiching the ball on your feet. You're gonna have your forearm, your elbow is directly underneath your shoulder, so make sure it's not too far out or too far in, but directly in line with your shoulder. Before you pop up, you wanna drive through your elbow on the floor. You wanna drive through, creating space between your neck and your shoulder. So we don't wanna be sinking into that shoulder, we wanna be pressing up and out, and then we engage the obliques on that bottom side, our feet are squeezing the ball, and then we lift up into this position. Hold for 45 seconds, or if you can't hold it for 45 seconds with good form, then come down, just have a running clock of 45 seconds, come down, pause, do it again, come back up, hold for as long as you can, come back down, and every week try to increase the amount of times or decrease the rest time until you can get to that 45 seconds total, okay? So 45 seconds on one side, then flipping to the other. Again, we squeeze the ball with our feet, our toes are pointing straight ahead. We want, before we start, drive through the elbow, creating space between the neck and shoulder. Brace that oblique as you lift up, and we have a good, strong position. If you feel this a lot in your lower back, I want you to look at two things. One, that your hip's not too high, but that you are in a straight line. And two, that this top hip isn't rocked back. I'd rather you have a little more rock forward than rock back. And that should take the pressure out of the QL area and into the obliques. So give that a try. If you have any issues with any of those, please let me know, and we can chat about it or switch things up or do whatever we need to make it better. All right, have fun.